Namo Tassa and 3 refuges for those who like. Actually, one moment yet. One moment. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. So welcome, friends, to this Wednesday evening Sutta class. And this evening we're going to be going over Maha Saccaka Sutta, number 36 in the Majjhima Nikaya. This is the longer discourse to Saccaka. So last Wednesday we were going over the shorter discourse to Saccaka, and we had understood from that that sutta that the Saccaka was not a monk. He was a lay person, a Brahmin, but he was skilled in debating, and he was a clever speaker, and he used to engage the various teachers of the day, including the Buddha, in debates. And he was very puffed up and proud of his debating skills, although he might have been to defeat other teachers in debate or other people in debating certain philosophical topics, but with the Buddha, he was no match for the Buddha, as we saw in that sutta and also this sutta. So the sutta, the Buddha was staying in Vesali. So the Vesali is the homeland of the Lichavis. So the Lichavis were a clan of people up in that area around Vaishali, which is north of Patna and between Rajgir and well, anyway, up in that area between on the north side of the Ganges River. Anyway, so this Saccaka had been wandering around, getting exercise, and Venerable Ananda saw him, and then he he told the Buddha, "Oh, Venerable Sir, here comes Saccaka, the Niganta's son. He's a clever debater and a speaker, regarded by many as a saint. And he always wants to discredit the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, because of course the Saccaka is a Brahmin, and he's more in tune or friendly with the Brahmin ascetics, and so he always wants to discredit the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And Ananda knew that because, he used to go around telling people that derogatory remarks about the Buddha and so on, or his Dhamma teaching. So Ananda tells the Buddha, it would be good if the Blessed One would sit down for a while out of compassion. So Ananda had compassion for this guy because, he knew he was basically just full of a lot of wrong views and not on the right track. So out of compassion, Ananda wanted the Buddha to talk with this person to see if, he couldn't straighten out his wrong views. So this Saccaka went up to the Buddha, and after exchanging greetings, he said this to the Blessed One. I'm just going to read this first couple paragraphs. It says, Master Gautama, there are some recluses and Brahmins who live pursuing development of the body, but not development of the mind. When they are touched by a bodily painful feeling, their legs would go stiff and rigid, their heart would palpitate, their blood would get hot, and the said blood would gush from their mouth, and they would go mad out of one's mind. Now, that's probably a little bit of exaggeration, but anyway, it might have happened. But anyway, they got it affected their mind. They couldn't tolerate that pain very well, but they tried to. And so he says, so the mind was subservient to the body, and the body wielded mastery over the mind. And why was that? Because the mind was not developed. So he was saying that these ascetics, mostly he's referring to these Brahman ascetics who were practicing the self-mortification. That's what they thought the development of the body was, by being able to endure sitting out in the hot sun for a long period of time, or sitting out in the cold for a long period of time, or even standing on one leg for long periods of time, causing undue stress and pain to the body, even like sleeping on nails and doing these other type of self-mortifications. So that's what they thought the development of the body was. But anyway, I'll go on. And then he says that there are other recluses and monks who abide pursuing development of the mind and not the body. So he's saying these Brahman ascetics, they were basically practicing developing the body, development of the body, but not developing their mind, because they let their mind get disturbed by the painful feelings and also pleasant feelings and so on. And then the others, he's referring to the Buddhist disciples. He used to see the Buddhist disciples not practicing self-mortification and or not fasting for long periods of time. So he felt that they were not developing their body in that way. But only focusing on concentration, on developing their mind. And so when it said when they're touched by mental feelings, their body, would go, get a lot of pain, and those same results, talking about blood would gust from the mouth and go mad. So then the body was subservient to the mind. The mind wielded mastery over it because the body was not developed. And so this Saccaka tells the Buddha, it occurred to me, surely Master Gautama's disciples abide pursuing development of the mind, but not development of the body. So basically, this is a kind of a difference between the two groups. The Brahman ascetics mainly pursuing development of the body, not the mind. The Buddha's disciples developing the mind, but not the body, according to this Saccaka. But then the Buddha replies to him, but Saccaka, what have you learned about development of the body? So, he was saying that this development, and so the Buddha points him blank. What do you mean by development of the body? And so he gives this long list of things that these Jain ascetics and other Brahmin ascetics used to do. I'm not going to read them all, but I hope you have the sutta there, the link to the sutta I sent you, so you can read them. And basically it means, and extreme fasting. They did extreme fasting, where they were eating only once in a few days and so on. And then the Buddha asked them, oh, do they really live on such little food? Eating only a handful of food every 2 or 3 days? And he says, no, Master Gautama. Sometimes they even eat excellent food and tasty delicacies and drink excellent drinks, and therefore regain their strength and become fat. So he's saying that, so these ascetics who are practicing development of the body, they do these mortifications and sort of torturing the body for periods of time. And then they give it up, and then they go back and revert to eating and getting fat again and enjoying things like that. So, and this stems from actually the idea of self-mortification was that if they subjected themselves to all these kind of self-mortifications and inflicting all these kind of extreme unpleasant and painful sensations that came from doing all these practices, that they would somehow be able to overcome sensual desire. And they could liberate their mind from the body, from the flesh, if they denied their body any comfort or indulgences. But again, they could only do that for so long, and then they were reverting back to indulgence and so on for a while. So they would go back and forth like that. And then the Buddha tells the Saccaka, so what they gave up earlier, that means the food and so on, they later gathered together again. That is how there is increase and decrease of this body by going between, fasting and sort of starving yourself and then getting it fat again and so on and going back and forth. And so Buddha says, oh, that's what you mean by development of the body. And then he says, what have you learned about development of the mind? So after Saccaka is talking about how they develop their body, he says, well, how do they develop their mind? And so it's interesting. So when the Saccaka was asked by the Buddha about development of mind, he was unable to answer. You know, he couldn't really answer because those particular, ascetics and so on, they didn't really practice meditation as what the Buddha's disciples do. You know, now that at least that's what he's saying. They didn't develop their minds. He didn't know much about it because they didn't teach much about it. They were mostly into philosophical discussions and these ascetic practices. And then the Buddha tells him, what you told about development of the body, this is not development of the body according to the Dhamma, in the Noble One's discipline. And since you do not know what development of the body is, how could you know what development of the mind is? But nevertheless, I'll explain it to you. I'll explain how one is undeveloped in the body and undeveloped in mind. And I'll also explain to you how one is developed in the body and developed in the mind. Listen and attend closely to what I'll say. And then the Buddha says, how Saccaka is one undeveloped in body and undeveloped in the mind. Here a person is touched by pleasant feeling arises in an untaught ordinary person. Touched by that pleasant feeling, he lusts after the pleasurable feeling. He continues to lust after the pleasure. So he lusts after, pleasurable feelings through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the body. And so he might see, some sensuous thing, and it causes these physical reactions in the body, these kind of lustful kind of sensations, and they lust after that. So that is how one is undeveloped in the body, because they cannot control these sensations. And and then after that, these pleasurable feelings cease, and then painful feeling arises. Touched by the painful feeling, they sorrow, grieve, and lament. They weep, beating the breast, and become distraught. When the pleasant feeling has arisen in him, it invades his mind and remains because body is not developed. And when that painful feeling has arisen in him, it invades his mind and remains because the mind is not developed. Anyone in whom this double manner, arisen pleasant feeling, invades the mind and remains because body is not developed, and arisen painful feeling invades the mind and remains because the mind is not developed. This is how one is undeveloped in the body and undeveloped in the mind. So basically he's saying in this sentence that when the pleasurable feelings that we get through the senses, through all these six senses as I mentioned, and they generate these pleasant feelings in the body, they remain, and he entertains them, and he lusts after them, and he tries to prolong them. And so that's what the Buddha is calling, undeveloped in the body, because he cannot control his body reactions to these pleasurable feelings. And then when the painful feelings arise, he gets distraught, and he he sweats and he squirms around, and he's trying to get rid of these pleasurable feelings because the mind is not developed. Excuse me, he wants to get rid of the painful feelings because the mind is not developed. And then he says, and how is one developed in body and developed in mind? So he kind of now explains the opposite. He said, when pleasant a feeling arises, he does not lust after pleasurable feeling or continue to crave that pleasure. And then that feeling ceases and painful feeling arises. And because of the painful feeling, he does not sorrow, grieve, and lament. He does not weep, beating his becomes distraught because of the painful feeling. When that pleasant feeling has arisen in him, it does not invade his mind and remain because the body is developed. And when the painful feeling has arisen in him, it does not invade his mind and remain because the mind is developed. Anyone in whom this double manner, arisen pleasant feeling, does not invade the mind and remain because body is developed, and the arisen painful feeling does not invade his mind and remain because the mind is developed. This is how one is developed in body and developed in the mind. So after having said that, this Saccaka then says, I have confidence in Master Gautama. Master Gautama is developed in body and developed in mind. And then the Buddha says, surely your words are offensive and discourteous, but still I will answer you. And then from here, the Buddha goes in to tell him how when he was an ascetic, and when he first went forth for the first 6 years, that he says, since I've shaved off my hair and beard and went forth from the home life, it has not been possible for a risen pleasant feeling to invade my mind and remain, or for a risen painful feeling to invade my mind and remain. And then Saccaka says, has there never arisen in Master Gautama a feeling so pleasant that it could invade his mind and remain? Has there never arisen in Master Gautama a feeling so painful that it could invade his mind and remain? And the Buddha says, why not? Yes, but that was before his enlightenment. And so he goes on to explain, when before he was enlightened and living the lay life where, these feelings of lust and so invaded him. And when he was practicing the austerities. And then he goes through all these extreme austerities that he underwent and all these feelings. Again, he was following the Brahman tradition of torturing the body and inflicting it pain, thinking that was the way to overcome desire and so on. But in the end, it didn't. And then finally, he gave up those austerities. And there's a couple of pages where he goes through all these practices he did. It recurs a number of times, throughout the sutras. So you can read that for yourself. And he also practiced, the extreme fasting and so on. But he became so weak that he couldn't, hardly sit up, and didn't bring him really any peace of mind. So, he was practicing that development of the body according to these recluses. Now, the development of the body in what the Buddha means by development of the body is actually the practice of mindfulness of the body, the practice of the four foundations of mindfulness. That means it's getting insight into the nature of the body and developing the body that it can withstand and the mind can detach from the body. So that's the development of the body. In other words, to sit for a long period of time and not allow the painful feelings to invade the mind, and learning how to reflect and get insights into and detachment from the body, and not giving in to all the pleasurable and painful sensations that come. So when the pleasurable sight, sound, smells, tastes, they're coming through the body, and they produce these pleasurable feelings. I'm sure, a lot of you, when you listen to certain music, it might, generate some pleasurable feeling in the body. And also when you smell certain smells and sights, all these vibrations, material vibrations, coming through the nervous system, they trigger off physical reactions. And before we might have reacted to them, again, as they were saying, lust after these pleasurable feelings and crave them more. Like even when people take drugs, they get a pleasurable feeling, and they get addicted to that, and so on. So, but in practicing insight meditation, you're developing the body in the sense of insight and being aware of the body and all these sensations that are coming through it, but not allowing them, not lusting after them, desiring them and trying to prolong them, and just seeing how they just arise and vanish, but without causing any kind of reactions in the body. And this applies to the painful feelings as well. So neither the pleasurable feelings nor the painful feelings are affecting the body or the mind, because the body is developed in that way in terms of the mindfulness of the body practice and the detachment that comes from that, and just seeing everything as just being, the four elemental vibrations, and not, craving for any of these types of pleasurable or delightful sensations, just seeing them come and go. So that's development of the body as well as development of the mind, because even when the painful feelings come within the mind, the mind is, you're dwelling in equanimity. So you're not, trying to get rid of them, or not sorrowing, crying, and reeling in pain, and squirming around, trying to get rid of them, and, trying to itch this and rub this, and, get distracted. So that is the Buddha's definition of being developed in the body and developed in the mind. In a person who is undeveloped in body and undeveloped in mind, that's usually like, the beginning meditators, when a person really hasn't done much meditation and they're still affected by all these sensations in the body and attached to the feelings and so on. But later, as you, and then also development of the mind is considered to be the attainment of insights and then the jhanas, whether you're practicing the concentration and attaining the 4 jhanas as we talked about, whether through concentrating on, using a certain object, or you're developing the vipassana jhanas through the practice of the insight meditation, as I was explaining one of the nights in that Thanksgiving retreat. I think on the 3rd night, the questions and answers during the Thanksgiving retreat, I was talking about that, how the development of the 4 jhanas. So, and then near the end of the sutra, the Buddha was saying, he talked about, the attainment of enlightenment and going through all the jhanas and attainment of enlightenment when the mind was, overcame and destroyed all the defilements. And then after saying all that, the Saccaka asked the Buddha, he says, but does Master Gautama recall sleeping during the day? Out of nowhere, this Saccaka, ask him if he slept during the day. And then the Buddha said, well, I recall in the last month of the hot season, after eating the daily meal, I would take lay down on my right side and mindfully fall asleep. That means he would go into a meditative kind of awareness, which was like sleep, but it wasn't unconscious sleep. He maintains his awareness even during the sleep. So it's like the body was sleeping and the active mind was sleeping, but awareness was still there. So that's what he was explaining, because he lied. He laid down for 1 hour or so. And then Saccaka says, well, some recluses and Brahmins would call that abiding in delusion. And then the Buddha replies, it's not in such a way that one is deluded or undiluted. As to how one is deluded or undiluted, I'll explain. I call a person deluded who has not abandoned the defilements that bring renewal of being, that get entangled with karma, that give trouble, ripen in suffering, and lead to future rebirth, aging and death. For one who has not abandoned the defilements of greed, hatred, and delusion, that one, he calls that kind of a person deluded. And then one who is undiluted is, of course, one who has attained enlightenment. So the opposite of the deluded is overcome, the cycles of rebirth and attain the liberation. And then this is the very last part. After the Buddha talked about that, the Saccaka says, it is wonderful, Master Gautama. It is marvelous. When I spoke to the Master Gautama so offensively again and again, that the Master Gautama, the color of his skin brightens and the color of his face clears. And, so he was, impressed by that, the Buddha didn't get ruffled because this Saccaka had been kind of, discourteous in the way that he was, asking him questions and so on. And anyway, so that's basically the end of the sutta. The Saccaka says, okay, well, and now Master Gautama, it's time for us to depart. So he departs with his fellow Lichavis. And that's the end of the sutta. So in both of these suttas, this Saccaka he's still, even though he might have been entertained and appreciate what the Buddha had to say, he was still puffed up and was still clinging to his views, and didn't say, "Oh, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha," like we read in so many other suttas. So anyway, that's so the main thing about this sutra was about how some people are developed in the body and undeveloped in the mind. And we can see that today. Some people spend their time bodybuilding and doing all these other kind of things that develop the muscles in their body, and they show it off, and they win prizes and maybe get rich for a while. But their minds, at least according to the Dhamma, probably not so developed in the mind in terms of being able to, overcome the defilements and to attain states of concentration and not being assailed when people insult you or use bad speech to you, and so on, as we can see what happens to people. So therefore, the Buddha wanted to point that out, really is how a person is developed according to the Dhamma, how one is developed in the body and developed in the mind. And it's not, the development of the body, again, is to maintain the body in equanimity and not allow it to get all excited and so on, to always kind of keep the body sort of, relaxed and mellow and not, allowing the various things to disturb it. And then equally the mind, being able to then develop, meditation and to keep the mind also in equanimity. So having gone over that, let's see if there's any, if anybody has any questions about that. Doesn't look like there's any chats yet. We can give people a little time to, if they want to ask some question by the chat.
Bhante, can I ask a question? It's not in the chat.
Okay.
And my question, is the comment about the development of the body. When I'm meditating, when I'm doing the sitting meditation, the pains and all those things arise. And you have always guided us through that. So the problem which happens with me is, I would say for about half an hour, I'm sitting very still and I'm not having any pains, or I'm okay with that. But after some time, I would say after about half an hour, 45 minutes, my foot goes to sleep. So when the foot goes to sleep, I just cannot concentrate anymore, Bhante. My whole concentration goes to that, and I'm just itching to move a little bit. And if I just move a little bit of that foot and then come back to my original position, I can concentrate much, much better. So what do you think that is wrong?
Well, other people can sit for 1 or 2 hours, and their foot or legs wouldn't go to sleep. So now it doesn't necessarily mean you're undeveloped in the body, but the mind is getting disturbed by these sensations. Now, if you just let the foot be there, somebody who is more developed in the body could just, okay, let it be there. So what? It's sleeping. It's not going to kill you. 1 hour, when the foot goes to sleep, is not going to cause any permanent kind of damage. So in that way, because you can't take the pain, and then the body is undeveloped, and the mind is undeveloped in terms of being able to just stay relaxed in that way. Although, in the sutra that we read, actually, the Buddha was saying undeveloped in the body is when the pleasurable feelings invade the body. And so he didn't actually, in this particular sutra, telling about, it was the pleasurable feelings, that people will lust after the pleasurable feelings, and they're craving the pleasurable feelings and allowing the body to get excited about the pleasurable feelings. So that's what he was referring to as undeveloped in the body. They couldn't control the body in terms of wanting to lust and crave after these pleasurable body feelings. But undeveloped in mind was when the painful feelings arise, the painful body feelings arise, that they invade the mind and disturb the mind. So in your case, that was what was happening with you, the foot going to sleep, you're interpreting that as a painful feeling. Most people would, you want to not have it. So, but the mind cannot just stay in equanimity and endure it. So in that case, the mind still has work to do in order to. Now, of course, not everyone is able to do that all the time, and so by changing one's posture, and it takes a lot of training. So development in the body means that you practice some yoga exercise. So that should be able to. You should have better circulation in your legs, or something is causing this feet to go to sleep. After 30 minutes, but it might be happen to a lot of people, certainly not everybody. And even myself, my feet and legs might have gone to sleep, also, within 30 minutes. I couldn't do that right away, but I kept on enduring and practicing, and eventually I could, easily sit for an hour or more without the feet going to sleep. They might have been painful, but they weren't going to sleep. So, so we have to gradually, build up towards that.
Yeah, you see, that's why when you give us the option of, you say that after, I remember that you used to do that at Bhavna also, that if one gets too uncomfortable and the painful feelings are becoming too intense, then just mindfully, just slowly stand up.
Yeah, you have to mindfully do it.
Mindfully stand up. So when I'm extending my leg, when my foot goes to sleep, then I'm trying to do it very mindfully too. You see? So I'm trying to mindfully extend my leg and then mindfully retract it, and then I can concentrate much better that way.
Yeah, in the same way, if you notice yourself kind of slouching in meditation like this, if you notice it, you can just gradually, try to straighten back out, and then you see how more clear and alert the mind becomes. So that was not necessarily done out of pain, but because the mind, gets sluggish when you start.
Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah.
So if there's any other questions out there, if you don't want to write them on a chat, if anybody wants to ask a question, you can unmute yourself and ask a question also.
Bhante, I'm sorry if I'm talking too much, but I just wanted to share something with you about that mouse that I was talking about. the other day. And what I want to share with you is that after that day, that incidents with the trap, that mouse has completely disappeared from my house.
Yeah, things come and go. Just have patience. When things come, have patience, and eventually they'll go away. Actually, this morning there was a mouse in our sink. So Larry, who lives here with me, he saw we have a deep stainless steel sink. So somehow the mouse slipped down into that and he couldn't get out. So Larry very, compassionately caught it without hurting it, by slipping a cup underneath, and then took it outside, although he might come back.
Yes.
But, and okay, it was winter time, the mice might come in the house. I'm not going to go out and try to trap them and kill them and all this stuff. No. Okay, they come, they don't cause that much harm. They'll go. So like that, in your experience, you see, you had patience and you did something and didn't come back. So, that's a good.
Well, I feel that it was because of that ahimsa inclination, that I had towards him, and the compassion. I think maybe that passed on to him, to the mouse somehow, and he said,
thought, okay, I'll be compassionate to this lady by leaving.
Right, exactly. That's my point.
Okay, that's a good way to see it.
I think that's what happened.
Okay. I just wanted to mention that heads up that on Sunday, December 13th, I believe that's a Sunday, the afternoon 2 to 4 program on Zoom, I'm not going to be doing it from my own Zoom channel, but I'm going to be joining a program out at the Bhavana Society, although I'm not going there, I'm going to be on. But they're doing a Zoom program on meditation, and they invited me to participate in that and to give a talk in meditation, also at the same from 2 to 4. So that's the normal time that I do it on Sundays. So I'll be posting that link, but that'll be done. I'll be joining their Zoom broadcast from the Bhavana Society. So there'll be a link for that, and I'll be sending that out on next week's probably little letter that I send out, or maybe I'll have Prashant put it up on the shared screen. It's maybe on this Sunday's program. But this Sunday, of course, I'll be giving the normal 2 to 4 program, some Dhammapada verses. But the following Sunday, I'll be, on a different link on joining the Bhavana Society program. So, okay, so if there's not any other questions, then we can take a little break and then do some yoga stretches and have our meditation. Okay? So, or we'll come back in a few minutes, and if anybody wants to write down, another question on the chat, you could do that, and I'll try to answer it before we start the yoga. Okay? Okay, friends. So doesn't look like there's any other questions. So let's go ahead and get ready for some yoga stretches to prepare the body for developing the body for developing our mind. Just stand straight, gently close the eyes, feel the feet pressing the floor, feel the height and the weight of the body pressing the feet on the floor. Feel your arms and hands hanging from the shoulders. Feel the head balanced on top of the neck. Just try to mentally feel that outline of the standing body. And then begin some three-part breathing, deep, slow breathing. After breathing in, hold the air in the lungs 2 or 3 or 4 seconds, and slowly breathe out. Just thinking like this to yourself. Just breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. And then next in breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten the arms, stretch your head back, arch your lower back a little bit. Feel the sensations. On the out breath, turn the palms down, touch the top of the head. Again, in breath, palms up, straighten the arms, bend back a little bit. Out breath, touch the top of the head. And third time, hold that upward stretch longer. And release the fingers, out breath, arms back to the side. Relax. Feel those increased body sensations. Letting go of your thoughts. Just keeping the awareness grounded, centered in the body. feeling the sensation. With the next in-breath, push up on the toes and raise the arms over the head in this way. Face the hands toward each other, about 6 inches apart. Stretch. The out breath, come back down, arms to the side, heels to the floor. Use the breath to help lift the body, in breath. Out breath. In. Out. Relax. Keep feeling the body. Don't let the mind wander. Feel the increased pulsation, tingling sensations, hands and fingers. Feel where the clothing touches the skin on different places. It's the present moment. Sensations in the body. Remember standing, standing, standing. Then we'll do side bending using both arms, or in breath, raise both arms up. Keep the fingers and the arms straight, close to the head. On the out breath, bend over your right side as far as you comfortably can. And keep the arms parallel to each other. In breath, lift up. And the other side, out breath. In. Again to the right, out breath. In. Out. In. Once more to each side. On the out breath, lower the arms. Relax. Keep feeling the body. Remember standing, standing, standing. You now spread your feet about 3 feet apart. We're going to do twisting, lateral twisting of the spine. So breathe in. On the out breath, look at your right hand and twist around to the right. Keep your eyes focused on the hand going back. On the in breath, come back to the front. Let the feet turn with the body, and then to the other side, the out breath. In breath. Again to the right, out breath. In. Out. In. Once more to each side, out breath. In. Out. In. The out breath, lower the arms, relax. Close the eyes, feel each foot pressing the floor. We're going to do one last exercise of forward and backward bending, keeping the legs apart, about 3 feet. We'll breathe in. On an out breath, bend forward. Let the hands come down to your knees the first time. Keep the head up, looking out straight ahead. Try to flatten the spine. Keep the legs straight. In breath, lift up. Move the hands under the buttocks for support and let the head go back. The out breath, gently bend backwards, not too far the first time. Look up at the ceiling. In breath, carefully lift up. And again, the out breath forward. Let the hands come down below the knees, about halfway if you can. Still keep the head up, flatten the spine, legs straight. Feel the stretch in the back of the leg. In breath, lift up. Hands under the buttocks again. Out breath, bend back a little farther. In breath up. And third time, let the hands come down towards the feet. Still keep the head up. And hold that position longer. Feel the stretch in the back of your legs. And the in-breath, lift up. And once more, the back bend. In-breath, lift up. On the out breath, just relax. Feel the whole body exactly as it is. Each foot pressing the floor. The hands at the sides. Clothing touching the skin on different places. Head balanced on top. Feel that organic aliveness of the whole body. And now bring your legs and feet back together. Again, just feel the straight standing body. Okay. Come back to your seat, prepare for the sitting meditation. As usual, turn off the video. So just try to sit straight. Just try to align the back of the head and the spine in a straight line. Relax the shoulders. And focus the attention down where the buttocks press the seat. Just feel that solid contact, the buttocks to the seat. Just feel some different sensations from that contact. Just try to feel the right buttock on the left buttock. Different types of sensation. Sort of like just looking down through the microscope of awareness, of concentrated awareness, focus. And let the awareness kind of move down the upper legs. Feel the upper legs. And then the knees. Just move the attention down the lower legs to feel the feet and toes. Just hold the attention on in your feet and toes to feel the different sensations. Where the socks touch the skin of the feet, where the feet touch the floor. Try to feel some sensations in the heels, and the arches, and the toes. And now move the attention up to feel your hands and fingers, where they touch together, where they touch your legs. And feel that subtle pulsation, tingling sensations. And feel what how the hands and fingers touch together. Feel the outline of your thumbs, other fingers. Now feel the weight of the arms hanging from the shoulders. Feel where the clothing touches the skin of your shoulders, upper arms, chest. Now feel the head balanced on top of the neck. Just feel your face. Feel or imagine the skin stretched over the front of the skull. Feel your forehead, the nose, the chin. And feel the lips touching together, the upper lip touching the lower lip. Feel the moistness or the dryness of the lips. And feel the tongue laying in the mouth. Feel some sensations of your teeth and the gum. So feel all those different little sensations in the mouth. It's like looking down through the microscope. And now feel the outer nose. Right there in the middle of the face, the nose. And take in a few deep, slow breaths to try to feel the sensation of the air moving through the nostrils. If you breathe in deep enough, you might hear the sound also. And hold the air in the lungs for 2 or 3 seconds. And feel the outgoing breath. Feel the little sensations inside the nostrils. And now feel the eyes resting in the socket. And the eyelids stretched over the eyeball. Relax the eyes. And feel the subtle eye movements, the pulse of blood in the capillaries of the eyes, or in the eyelid. Sort of gaze around and through the eyes. You might see some light or colors or patterns. Or just darkness. If you listen very carefully, you might hear some inner sound, like the sound of the ocean, the sound of a high, shrill pitched sound like high voltage electric wires. Being the sound of the brain wave activity. Now from that point behind the eyes, let the awareness expand a little bit to feel the outline of the whole body. Sensations coming from all those different places that we went through, feeling of the buttocks and feet underneath. Sensations from your hands and arms in the middle. sensations from the face, the head on top. Sensations coming from all those different places on the body, giving rise to the perception of a sitting body. Just try to hold that perception, outline of the body, the mind's eye. And just remember sitting, sitting, sitting. The present moment of the body, here and now, exactly as it is. Feeling all those subtle life force sensations, vibrations. And again, begin taking some more deep, slow breaths. The three-part breaths, holding the air in the lungs for a few seconds to feel that pause, to allow for the oxygen to get into the bloodstream, and feel the relaxing contractions of the out breath. Just try to take several deep, slow breaths like that, cultivating this basic present moment awareness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we want to try to count the breaths from 1 to 10 without getting lost in your thoughts. Just continue to take some deeper breaths if you can. Help you stay focused. With the next expanding in breath, mentally count to 1. And with the contracting out breath, count 1. The next expanding in breath, 2. Contracting out breath, 2. In breath, 3. Out breath, 3. In breath, 4. Out breath 4. In breath 5. Out breath 5. In breath 6. Out breath 6. In breath 7. Out breath 7. In breath 8. Out breath 8. In breath 9. Out breath 9. In breath 10. Out breath 10. Now discontinue the controlled breathing. Let the breathing return to its uncontrolled rhythm, but continue to feel it. And discontinue the counting. Stay focused on the movements of the abdomen, rib cage, your chest, as it expands and contracts with each breath. And just know when the breath is coming in, and know when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling it. Just try to feel where the clothing rubs against the skin of your stomach or chest, producing those friction sensations. Just make those the primary focus of the awake attention. You can use these brief mental notes to help stay focused. Just in sitting, out, sitting. It's the ongoing, continuous connection to the breathing body, to the present moment awareness. And just be aware of the 4 phases of each breath. The expanding in breath and the brief pause. The contracting out breath and the brief pause. See how each breath is different. sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Sometimes you feel it in the abdomen or stomach area. Sometimes you feel it in the rib cage or chest. It's always changing. Just be like a scientist sitting in the laboratory. This body is the meditator's laboratory, looking down the microscope of focused awareness. In sitting, out, out, sitting. Just feeling the body in the body. The cycle of breathing within the larger sitting body. It's called feeling the body in the body. But at the same time, be alert for mental activity, thoughts, ideas, moving in the mind. If you get caught up in thoughts, just recognize it as thinking, let go of the thought. Just keep refocusing, reconnecting to the pure physical sensation. Just in sitting, out, sitting, just breath by breath, moment by moment. Especially with each out breath, just allowing the body and mind to relax more and more into the present moment. Just feeling subtler, finer, detailed sensation in the breathing body. Being alert for subtle thoughts or urges arising in the mind. catch the mind totally lost in thoughts, recognize it as lost. Find the body sitting on the floor. Take a deep, slow breath. Draw the mind back into the body. Get recentered, reconnected to the present moment. Awareness. In sitting. Out, sitting. Being alert when any of the 5 hindrances arise, to apply the appropriate antidote, to let go of them. Stay connected to the present moment. In the breathing body. Be alert when any unpleasant or painful sensations arise. See how they pull at the mind, urge to want to get away from those painful sensations. Just note it as urging, or wanting. Relax the body, relax the mind. Just let those sensations vibrate and change, diminish and disappear. In sitting. Out, sitting. While staying connected to the breathing process. So be alert for other sensations in the body coming and going. aches or pains, prickling sensation. Really, you can feel a subtle pulse of the blood, different places. Feeling the larger body around the breathing. Just opening up to the flow of impermanence. If the mind is calm enough, centered enough, just try to feel how quickly many sensations just arise and vanish. In and around the breathing awareness. If there's any sounds in the room where you are, also be aware of sounds just arising and vanishing through the ear. Sound vibration. Coming and going through the bodily vibration. Even thoughts or urges, ideas, mental images coming and going in the mind. Just turning up the power of the mental microscope. Notice more and subtler sensations, sounds, and thoughts arising and vanishing through the space of awareness. Keeping still, not moving the body. Development of the body. And development of the mind in enduring the pains, irritation, development of the mind, allowing the mind to rest in equanimity, not craving pleasurable thoughts or sensations, not trying to push away unpleasant sensations, feelings, knowing that all of them are just impermanent, conditionally arising, not me, mine, or myself. They're just powered by the karmic habits and conditioning. Just try to be like an empty house with nobody home to answer the call, knocking on the doors and windows. There's a sensitive microphone, seeing eye camera in the house that knows but cannot do anything. Just a clear, relaxed, alert space of awareness. The flow of impermanence. Just allow those remaining thoughts or ideas of I, me, or mine gradually fade out of the consciousness. Just recede, fade away into the remote background of awareness. Just feeling that alert tranquility. what perceptions arise in the mind based on that sound. Dukkha pata jani dukkha bhaya pata jani bhaya soka pata jani soka Ontu sabbi pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. In this way, may all beings live with mindfulness and wisdom. Thus spoke the Buddha. So let's finish the meditation by spending a couple minutes sending out thought vibrations of metta, friendliness, best wishes to our self and all living beings. So again, take some deep, slow breaths, and after breathing in, hold the air in the lungs. Just try to feel or imagine that oxygenated blood going out to bathe and suffuse all the cells and tissues of the body, mind, nervous system with relaxing, healing energy, which is metta. And on the out breath, feeling the body and mind relax in the present moment. Just keep on taking some deep, slow breaths like that. Just cultivating these basic thoughts. May I be well, peaceful, and wise. May I have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May I be able to continue to deepen my understanding of the Dhamma and practice of meditation to help free the mind from confusion and suffering. May I be well, peaceful, and wise. And continue taking a few more deep, slow breaths. And as you're holding in the breath and on the out breath, especially imagining these vibrations of pure wisdom, pure love, pure energy going outwards, sending these outwards to your other family members, relatives, friends, family, anybody you might know that's especially suffering in different ways. And just gradually with each out breath, spreading these vibrations of metta out across the whole earth and world. With the idea that may all living beings, whoever they might be well, peaceful and wise. May all beings be free from greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance. All beings have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May all beings be able to hear the Dhamma, learn and practice meditation to help free their minds from confusion and suffering. May all beings be able to live peacefully and harmoniously together, understanding the ultimate interconnectedness and karmic interdependence of all things. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. Just like a mantra reverberating throughout space. Well, peaceful, and wise. I invite you to join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times slowly. Do that with the breathing. Take a deep breath and a long out breath, chanting the syllables sadhu, feeling the vibrations of your body and mind. You can hold the hands together at the chest if you like. Breathe in. Sadhu. Place your hands at the edge of your knees. Take one more deep, slow breath. Stretching your head back and pull the hands against the knees to arch backwards. Hold it a few moments. And on an in-breath, lift the head up, and on the out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. And lift the chin up level on an in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends, so that brings our evening program to an end. And I hope you all had a peaceful meditation. And, if you want to, for those of you who weren't able to tune in to the Thanksgiving retreat, all those recordings are up on our website. Now the links to those recordings, so if you like, you can listen to them again. And we'll see you again either on Sunday or next Wednesday. So in the meantime, Remember to do the M&Ms. Mindfulness a day keeps dukkha away. Sutta a day keeps delusions away. Develop one's body and develop one's mind according to the Dhamma. Okay, friends, so all the best. Namo Buddhaya.